Pete Dog.
Oh man, what's happening?
Your phone?
Oh yeah,
Turn your phone sideways.
I can't. I got nothing to stand it on.
Oh,
I'm leaning it on the laptop screen. I couldn't get the laptop to camera. I don't know why. It defaults to the laptop camera, and I have to switch it to the other camera, the nice camera, when I'm at home.
yeah.
And now it won't even give me the option of the default camera in the damn computer.
It's saying that your like now we ain't using this cheap camera no more. Your laptop said now we ain't using this cheap camera that you came with no more.
Basically, it's not even acknowledging that it exists. It just says no camera available.
Damn. Worked you. But if you could have turned this, too bad you can't turn it sideways. You can go full screen.
I can, but it's just going to be.
Why is it doing that?
I don't know.
That is crazy.
It's weird that no matter how I turn it, I stay upside down.
Yeah, that's definitely not pleasant.
I'm in the third dimension out here, fourth dimension, whichever dimension.
You in the Midwest, right?
No.
Where you at?
I'm in California.
Oh yeah, you is here. Where you at? You in Orange County?
Yeah, my folks' house.
Okay.
How's the wind? I came out for my. It's been cool. We lost a shingle or two, but that's it. We were inside, so I got like those stone shingles, and there's 2-story high roof, so I wouldn't have wanted to get hit by one of those things, but it's fine.
Yeah, because you close to Santa Ana.
Yeah, but the Santa Ana winds, I don't think they're named for the city of Santa Ana.
Oh man. Shout out to everybody. We got to make Sharice a moderator. Welcome to No Ceilings Live, the lunch hour, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time, right here on Digital Soapbox Network. Noon Pacific Time. Click the thumbs up button. What up, Jose, Keisha, Sharice, Squishy? What's up, girl? It's crazy in California. If you want to hear some California content right now with Los Angeles, you feel me? It's going down. Pat, what up, my boy? And I'm glad to see you here. We do this live stream to support the No Ceilings podcast, which is every Tuesday. We just dropped a new episode, Conversations on the Culturally Entitled. Really great episode, really great conversation. It's right there in the description below. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcast from. No Ceilings Podcast, executive produced by Charlemagne the God, the Black Effect Network, and iHeart. And it's going down just like that. Shout out to everybody at the lunch table, everybody that's new in the chat. Please, let's sure y'all get y'all thoughts to us. We would like to know what y'all are thinking. So you've been in California. So you brought this fire wind with you. You brought this firestorm with you.
No, I had to land through it. I'm actually surprised that we were even. I'm really surprised they landed that plane.
You got here Monday?
Like technically Wednesday morning.
Oh yeah, you got here right in the middle of it.
Yeah, it was pretty legit.
You see it from up above?
Oh yeah.
In the air? Damn.
Yeah, it was because we had to come in and then U-turn back and land from over the ocean. So we came in east, past LA, did a U-turn and came in. So the wind wasn't really all that heavy. Like on the plane, there was a little bit of action, but there was a good 15 minutes of just sheer, just stark blackout from smoke. Like usually, they'll divert flights over fog. This was every bit as obstructive as fog. So to go through an entire, airport, air zone on the U-turn with zero visibility. I'm surprised that they let that happen, but they did, and it was fine. And then walking from one car rental place to the other car rental place, just ash, just blowing my face the whole time.
Man.
Yo, so I heard they don't got fire insurance out there in California.
That's
what homie.
Very hard to get. Very complicated.
Yeah, this is so. There's a couple things that's happening, and it's happening to all the insurance, even the car insurance. What's happening is the state of California is setting like a max raise on premiums, like how much you could charge monthly per se, right? And they won't let them rise to match what they feel will keep them here, economically. So a lot of insurance companies are pulling out of California. Now they were doing that with the cars. Well, it's the same thing in these fire. There's certain parts of LA that they call like what do they call them? Fire. It's a certain name they use for them.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, it's somewhere where fires are likely to happen.
It's like fire zone type of thing. They have flood zones and other places.
Yeah. Fire zones.
It's another classic example of
But they won't let them raise the insurance premiums. They only let them raise it. Insurance company, the state of California only lets them raise it so high. I think it was like 20%. They was arguing. I remember reading about it. And so a lot of insurance companies are like, well, we're going to take this off the table or we're going to leave California. A lot of car insurance left California because we have so many people. So I guess the insurance companies are trying to go up like, 40 or 50, 60% to match where they think they need to do good business. And again, the state of California is protecting the citizens like, no, you can only go up this percentage.
Well, that's the misnomer. The state of California is governed by a bunch of economic illiterates who like to campaign on stupid fuck platitudes. This is the poetic beauty of this whole experience right here. This is like the triangulation of all the dumb shit stupidity that these idiots in this state run on and then vote for and then implement because they can't see 2 steps down the board. And this is what happens. This is all of it. It is a layer cake of all of their failure of decade after decade of stupid bullshit mismanagement on so many levels. It's incredible. And this is exposed like 7 of them simultaneously.
Well, this is Pete's
and quite honestly, the places where that has been hit the hardest funded most of it. It's great. The Palisades pay for all this shit and support all this shit. And now their house is fucking burnt down for it. I don't feel bad for them at all.
Crazy. That's crazy. Well, man,
I feel bad for
y'all,
Pete.
I feel bad for Silmar and Altadena. I feel bad for those guys.
I feel horrible for Altadena. That is breaking my heart.
But they recalled Newsom a couple of years ago for old Larry, and they shot Larry out of the sky.
Oh, man.
And what happened when you shoot Larry out the sky? The fire hydrants run dry.
I won't get in this white on white violence. I will not participate.
They don't send you back home, Pete.
Larry's black.
I'm not talking about that, Pete. not getting in. You know what? I am not informed correctly on the depth of what Pete is talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let Pete have it because this is right up his alley. But I'll tell you one thing. I was having a really dope conversation. Shout out to Jose. He got it right. Pete came through tripping.
Did I?
Oh man. I don't genuinely believe. I'm not informed enough, but I'll tell you one thing. That what happened for the last 3 or 4 days, I don't care what money you spent outside of having insurance. It was not enough water unless it came from the sky to deal with the fires. That's something I'm
Here you have it again. Here's another layer in the layer cake. 7 years ago at CBS Studios, I did this podcast 7 fucking years ago with Jamaican Andre, talking about during those fires, probably the Glendale fires, I want to say, how California politically is held hostage, bought and paid for in a single party corrupt state by public sector unions. What does that mean, Pete? It means that the massive gargantuan fire budget the state has is occupied by what? Manipulated salaries and pensions. So what can they not afford? Well, they can't afford tanker planes. That's why the plane dropping water over here is from where? Fucking Quebec, Eastern Canada. Because we have pension commitments on the fire books that are so big we can't afford a fucking plane. How's that for one? I did an hour on that 7 years ago. An hour on that 7 fucking years ago.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have been able to fly the planes during that wind event anyway, specifically.
You can fly planes during that.
No.
You can't do helicopters.
Well, they couldn't even fly planes during this specific wind event.
I was on a plane during it, wasn't I?
Well, they wouldn't let the
on a plane?
fire planes fly during these wind events.
Why not? You know what? They do because they did. The problem is they only had 6. Those were flying.
No, they weren't flying. The 6 planes weren't flying at first. They had to wait until the wind
because they were in Quebec.
No, that's not. They wouldn't let helicopters go up or planes go up. They wouldn't even let planes leave, Pete.
The planes, they do this all over it's all the time. Come on.
I'm not saying, Pete, look, I know your, especially this is right up your alley. I have nothing to say about that. I'm just saying they couldn't fly a plane. They wouldn't let planes up or helicopters up during this specific wind event. Now, I'm not saying they could have had more planes at the end. I'm not disagreeing. Like, I don't know. So I'm not finna play in that arena because I don't have the information. Here's another perfect example of glasses showing you when I don't have the information.
I just know I was watching planes fly when I got up in the morning on Wednesday morning. That's all I know. 48 hours ago, there were planes in the air. The fire was 10 hours old at that time. It's been burning for 48 hours.
Yeah. I'm gonna go on step up out of this. I'm gonna let you yeah.
That's all I know. I mean, there was a drone that crashed into a plane yesterday. It wasn't in the hangar. That's the most interesting story of all of this was
who you was doing that podcast with?
Jamaican Andre, New Yorker.
I figured that right there. Jamaican Andre. They've got Jamaicans out there. All right, cool.
Shout out to
for the Bronx.
Keisha B is she just posted my thoughts. I don't really have thoughts. I don't coach really hard from the stands. You know what I mean? Especially if I'm not informed on the topic. Pete is informed on the topic. This is right up his wheelhouse. You know what I mean? I have nothing to say. But I know that wind event is a really huge and important, you know what I mean, reason and why
about
these
like when them jets go through the air and shit like that, when they make like them fucking, what's the wind event? Is that
no, like the actual?
What's the wind event? There must be something that just go on.
Oh no! They had announced Monday that we were gonna have life-threatening wind events. The Santa Ana winds come in a bit too hard, like at a.
I thought something about something else. My bad.
Crazy pace. No. That was announced at the top of the week, and it said life-threatening. So I knew it was serious because life-threatening wind just sound insane. So we kind of knew at that point. We kind of knew at that point that I thought about it. I was like, man, if a fire happened, this is fire season in California, in Southern California. So it's like, dang, if it's like life-threatening wind events where the winds are going to be out of control, man, imagine if it was a fire. One thing, Southern California is going to do is have a fire, especially in Los Angeles. And
that's crazy.
It was over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was over.
Since forever.
Yeah, it's been over.
It ain't raining since like October, they said, right?
We're definitely down on rain.
It's been longer than that, but look at what burns. I mean, this stuff starts in like waist-high grass that dries out in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. I mean, you'd have to have Florida-type weather patterns for that stuff to stay wet year-round. It's not like drying out an oak tree. It's just drying out basically hay.
Yeah, and that's kind of how the fire goes fast from one place to another. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, shout out to Keisha B. She made a good point. They did say that it's hurricane force winds with no hurricane. That's what they were saying. So the wind event itself, like when I'm saying wind event, they're saying like this is like
Yeah, I got you.
One of those times when the wind is blowing incredibly and entirely too hard.
And a lot of that's in
So-
gusts, and it gets concentrated in hillsides where you'll see, like, say the wind might be 40, but like the same way like you would, siphon force into a funnel or a narrower space like a hose. When it gets into those canyons, it contracts, and then the velocity of the wind accelerates.
Like it was so bad down to 15. Like Deuce got off work early because he didn't want to drive in that. Like Gene finished his load. Like shout out to the homies, the 110 homies. Like they finished their work early on the trucks because the trucks were going over. When Deuce said he was coming home on the freeway, there was like 9 trucks. Diesels blew over.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like on their side and upside down.
Yeah.
Man.
And that's on the feet of the rise to the San Gabriel Mountains. So you get near geology, you get acceleration.
You inside of it, almost like a wind tunnel to a degree, I guess.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Shout out to Tree. This was planned, had to be, because we know what's going to happen. Why would you be unprepared? Shout out to Sherry. Insufficient infrastructure is the real issue. And that's my problem. And I don't agree with that at all. And I think humans historically have this ridiculous arrogance that's going to be probably the end of humanity, where they really feel like they can match nature, like bar for bar in a rap battle. Like, don't get me wrong, humans have triumphed over nature every so often. But humans are not more violent than nature. They're not more well prepared than nature, and they're not even like, I do think there's things that can be done, but I do think it's entirely too much finger pointing at the wrong times.
Yeah.
And also, like, are these things really the solution in this specific problem? I don't think so. But Pete is more armed with the information about what actually is wrong. Even if they couldn't deal with the first day or two, he's saying what they could have did with the second or third day.
Yeah, it's a question of mitigation. You're absolutely right insofar as like our ability to manipulate nature. That's ridiculous. Totally, we weren't able to do it. They used to do metrics. I remember back in the day at one period of time where they would measure the energy capacity of hurricanes based on equivalence to how much energy is released by a nuclear bomb. So like, you could see like the magnitude of a hurricane was releasing or creating or whatever the hell, manipulating so much energy that it would be like tantamount in just force magnitude to like a nuclear bomb every hour or every 15 minutes or whatever, like these ridiculous amounts, like for the size and sheer force.
Shout out to LK and shout out to Sherry for 2 different ideologies, and this is kind of where the conversation comes about. LK says it's environment. We have to be kind to the planet, which goes to the idea of global warming. And shout out to Sherry, who was saying massive engineering designs are needed in America. I guess it depends on what side of the street you are on with that conversation.
And California continues to demonstrate that it's on the wrong side every single time, without exception. Because this,
I don't know if that's true, Pete, because I don't think there's a state that a natural disaster doesn't happen to.
Yeah, but their argument is based off of the fact that suddenly this just started happening. That's not the point. The point is, it's like they blame hurricanes on global warming. Like hurricanes started 15 years ago or 100 years ago. They didn't. Weather patterns on the West Coast, because of pressure systems inland versus cold water next to it, do this a few times a year and have since forever, or at least since the Ice Age. So it's that whole carbon conversation in this case is not viable here. Furthermore, because of the mismanagement of all this, I wonder what the carbon footprint of this fire season is.
So you're saying
relative to gas stoves.
So what you're saying is California is ran badly.
Yeah.
Versus which other state? Which other state is ran correctly that doesn't have these kind of problems?
insofar as not having them at all, or insofar as mitigating the ripple effects of them when they happen?
Well, just give me an idea of a state that's ran great.
Comparatively, at scale and size, Texas has run very well. When they have problems, which do occur, where they have freezes and stuff, most of their issues happen because they had federal intervention in their energy policy with these stupid solar panel projects or wind farm projects they all put up, which was their own fucking fault. But it was essentially that was a problem that was solved pretty quickly.
So y'all feel like Texas is ran better as a state.
Texas
than
and Florida
California.
are both run better than California.
Huh. And what makes them better? This is now again, we're out of my wheelhouse, so I'm not being, I don't do
it's really, really difficult to compare fires to hurricanes and manage it, because you can't. A hurricane, there's not really anything you can do to like shrink the size of it as it's happening in real time. No, that happened one time. Knock that shit off. So whereas the fire, you can control to a degree its growth and expansion. They're a little different. One of them comes in ready made. The other one grows on site. So you're really comparing management of cleanup versus like management of the expansion of the damage capacity, if that makes kind of sense. So it's not so apples and apples in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that, like you'll see here, like insurance issues in Florida have been a thing for a very, very long time for that very reason. When they go about managing for this type of stuff, they do a better job of it. Again, AZ does well, but AZ really, because it's so desert that it's not exposed to a lot of natural issues. Their biggest issue is really just water access, and that's had literally downstream impact on California's water access, because California wants to get its water from everywhere except California. So the Colorado River fight between Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and California is its own interstate debacle. And Arizona really only has the Colorado River and a little bit of its own, but not that much. California has a lot of its own water, but refuses to use it. So they're in different positions in that particular debate.
Shout out to, I'm gonna just say Pele, because I cannot understand what that name is. Yeah, Pete, you can control a fire with 150-mile wind going on, sending embers everywhere. This was just a perfect storm. Stop pushing politics. Shout out to Name Brand. As many times this has happened, Gavin shouldn't be clueless or unprepared as he is. I don't know if y'all really being fair. Like, again, Pete is more familiar with this conversation on more nuance than me, so I don't really speak. Now, what I can tell you is leading something and running something. I ran my generation from the hood for a time. I've ran businesses. I've ran a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? But I think sometimes when things get out of control, you know what I mean, at this level, it's a lot easier to coach from the stands. You know what I mean? And it's, again, like, because of the wind event, California, Southern California, Los Angeles usually does really well with fires for years. Last year before, you know what I mean? It's a lot of things, but I don't think this fire is as simple as having enough water. I think that's just a stretch.
It's more than that. That's why I've said it's a layer cake of a lot of issues. It's a layer cake in land management. It's a layer cake in they don't do anything effective in managing their natural land. Federal government's consumed all sorts of it. It is kind of funny, the big ticker tape parade when the federal government took over a bunch of land in the San Gabriel Mountains, which incidentally is on fire. But so you have that matter. You have not having a policy of clearance space between dead grass, and housing. They don't do that. It's like it's 7 or 8 things on top of each other. It does. Yes, water access does matter. Yes, tanker planes do matter. Managing the landscape around you does matter. If you go 0 for 5, it creates a problem that amplifies beyond what it could otherwise be in a properly managed scenario.
So
it's
is
not
the
particularly
reason
complicated. It's a whole series of issues.
so is the reason you believe just to save money?
It's not to save money.
So they just want people's houses to burn down?
They don't want people's houses to burn down, but in the short term, they're preoccupied with various causes and they don't understand or appreciate the ramifications of them. They're just zealots.
Ah, man. Which brings me to the reason I wanted to talk about this live, soul versus spirit. Right? And soul is one of those things that I think people don't quite understand. And shout out to okay. He said, get a fact checker on here, please. Pete is pretty good with his facts. Now, he can't tell you the intention, but he knows what did or didn't happen. I'm sure of that. Like, I bet on Pete knowing what did or didn't happen. He's not crazy. Now, he may question the intention of liberals or Democrats, but I think he knows quite what did and didn't happen. And that's the consistency that everybody is saying. But when we talk about soul, right, I'm talking about the connection to other humans. You all right, Trap?
Yeah, I'm
The
good.
connection to other humans. Like, that's what I think soul is more than anything. You know what I mean? The connection to other humans. Like, spirit is the connection to a higher power. Soul is the connection to other humans. So what you're saying is, and to Sherry's point, are you saying they simply don't care? Why? Okay, better question. What would be a reason that, knowing that we have fires every year, right, that all of these things wouldn't be done?
Political expedience, short-term thinking, all those types of things. I mean, it's not guaranteed you're going to have a fire in 2 years, here or there or where. But it is guaranteed you're going to be up for election in 2 years. So when a massive, well-funded, politically forceful union says, we'll get you reelected and we want A, B, C, D, E, F, G instead of these other things, that's political expedience. That happens all the time.
So
That's
they
an
indebt
example.
in the office, and then they have to spend their whole term delivering the promises to the people that got them elected versus doing the right thing by people.
Sure. And look at, like, so far as the water thing, and this is pretty far geographically, but people keep putting up, last year they knocked down 4 hydroelectric dams on the Klamath in Northern California. Those were reservoirs that held water that now don't, and dams that produced electricity in the region that now don't. So that's a strain on the water supply and the electrical grid. And Gavin Newsom's doing a victory lap when they blew them all up, talking about, we're going to have steelhead fish again in the Klamath.
So what was the point of it then? Why
The
why
point
would
of
he
it
do
is
that?
environmentalists, their worldview thinks we should have the Klamath look like it did in the mid-19th century before these dams were put up, because isn't it a great idea to have steelhead and salmon swimming upstream in the Klamath River at the expense of the what it costs to have that? So it's just choices and priorities.
But don't you think those two have to kind of work together? Do you think human beings could kind of prioritize themselves over nature?
It depends. I mean, yeah, and there's multiple ways to do various things. But at some point in time, there are going to be matters where there are some either or choices. That wasn't either or choice. The whole Delta smelt scandal and stuff. There was money that was put together, funded by a California state proposition like 10 years ago, to allocate X number of, I forget, it was like $5 billion prop or something, like some bond prop that was voted for, to increase the reservoir capacity of the California Water Project throughout the state. They took that money, they redefined the language, and they used that money to knock down dams and destroy reservoirs. So, that
So is this kind of the
genuinely really took
traditional
place.
white people? So is this kind of the traditional stigma that white people love dogs more than humans?
Yeah.
This kind of goes in that weird space where you saying that there's a group of white people that is prioritizing
Yes, these are those people.
That's
These are
prioritizing the
those people.
smelt over human life.
Yeah, these are them. These are the cat moms. These are the fur. These are the parents of fur babies. Yes.
I'm gonna give someone a drink real quick. Be right back.
Oh man. Oh man. Shout out to Sherry. Engineering devices that could go to the other space, but we can't engineer how to filter seawater.
No, not true. We did do that. The Huntington Beach power plant that was shut down because we don't like power here was fought and litigated for almost a decade, just shy of 10 years of litigation in court until, fighting various different departments throughout the state of California. And then I believe last year or 2023, the final, nail in that coffin for a massive water desalination project, first in the state of California it would have been, was shut down by the California Coastal Commission because apparently they thought that taking water out of the Pacific Ocean was going to drain the Pacific. I don't know what the fuck their logic was. Or they were afraid of salt. They didn't want salt to get back into the ocean. It was just an incoherent, just an incoherent argument on their part, but they happened to win in court because look who the judges are in the state. But we had the engineering. We were ready to do it, fought for a decade to do it. They said, no, can't do it. California Coastal Commission, winning again.
Oh, man. I almost wish I understood I understand everything you're saying and the thought, but I could see exactly the problem. And it's like, I don't have enough information on either side to really make sense out of it.
Hey, look, if that's how you want to pursue things, how you want to do so, that's fine. Just understand the cost in doing it. If you want to have a state run like that, then you got to say, look, hey, 13 million of you guys, you're going to have to go. We got to change the zoning. We got to change the spacing. We got to change all this stuff, or this is what you're going to get. It's fine. You just make a choice, understand costs and realities, and abide by those things, or don't, and have this happen. Whatever, it's your choice.
What kind of fish was that they was known it for?
One was a smelt. I know that.
Delta smelt is
the other one.
Delta smelt, salmon.
That's that little fish that's invasive and not even native. But that's its own topic. But the other thing was they wanted salmon and steelhead to swim back up into the mountains.
It should be funny. Oh man.
Nah, that's real shit.
What's funny though, this is what's funny. I'm gonna tell you what's funny, Pete. I'm gonna tell you why I'm laughing. Historically, black people think white people love animals more than they love people.
Yes.
Like, I know a white lady who leaves her air conditioning on at her house for her dog.
Yeah, I know women who leave their TV on for the dog.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's crazy to listen to the thought of like, so this is more of an environmentalist conversation versus a what conversation?
Kind of. And some of that is, I think, there's a lot of political power jockeying that goes on in the Central Valley between the agricultural sector and other sectors. And some of it's cloaked in environmentalism because you can easily say, I want to do this in the name of whatever environmental cause rather than we're in a power struggle with big agro. So there's that. Or even small and medium-sized agro, but the Central Valley getting starved of water is in part a political power struggle with farming lobby, and it's in part a lot of weird environmental zealots, and it's difficult to always know which thing they're actually trying to go after and which they're just claiming to get whatever they want. It's not always clear, and it's not always the same people saying the same thing the same way on the same page. So
this
a lot of players involved.
So this go to the same space of liberal and Democrat versus conservative thinking to any degree?
It does in a lot of ways.
No, I mean, obviously it's not foolproof, but the thought of it seems like it makes sense. Just listening on the surface, at least.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. And California is so beyond that point. California is beyond partisan politics now because there is no other party.
Okay.
So it's kind
There's
of like
no other party.
Not of any viable political consequence. It's super majorities. You're not going to win any. Like there's not a threat of, well, if you do blank at the next election, the Republicans are going to. That's not going to happen here. I mean, if anything, you have to have like a sexual scandal, and then maybe you'll get primaried by another Democrat. And the way that the elections work, it's top two. So usually it's a Democrat running against another Democrat for a lot of these seats anyway.
So why can't the conservatives make a push and create the right person?
Because part of it's their inability to message. Part of it is the fact that they've been so bad at it for so long that they're just it's such a toxic brand in California just being associated with it. That's like Rick Caruso. Like Rick Caruso, the guy who finished runner-up to Mayor Bass in the LA mayoral election last time.
Sure.
The guy who built those malls.
Yeah.
He was a Republican for a long time, and he even ran as a Democrat just because he said, I won't even stand a chance if I have an R next to my name, so I'll just run as a Democrat and see if I can win. And people are like, that's bullshit. I'm not going to vote for you.
Does that go to that thing where people try not to look racist by voting Democrat? White people, they do that.
Some people, that's probably true.
That's
yeah, there's a lot of people that probably do that.
Like my dad does that. My dad is the most conservative person I know, but he will not vote for Trump because he he saw the picture of them people with the tiki torches. It was like they went back to that time. So immediately they think everybody that's a conservative or Republican is a tiki torch carrying, N-word hanging, Ku Klux Klan member versus him caring about the politics. Like I always tell him and Trump believe in the same politics. Like, you know what I mean? They in theory, they're the same person.
Yeah.
But because the people that like him seems to be mostly members of the Ku Klux Klan in my dad's eyes, he will not vote to his interest of what he thinks will make for a better situation in the country.
Yeah, my mom's the same way too. That's how
most older black people is like that. They do not want to be on the same side as the Ku Klux Klan, even though in theory they are on the same side as the Ku Klux Klan with all their thoughts.
But the crazy shit was that the Republicans was more for slavery back then anyway than the Democrats was though. When you look at it,
you mean ending slavery?
Ending slavery, excuse me, ending slavery. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, the Democrats has always kind of, in theory, been the party of the poor to people, poor everybody else, and the Republican Party to most people, the general thought is they're the party to poor white people, racist white people, and rich white people.
Yeah.
So that's recent because I mean the Southern Democrats were the Klan.
Yeah, but see, a lot of people said that now I never read this neither. They talked about the parties flipping somewhere.
I think that
that's what they said. I don't know, but I heard that.
I know that
because I know Martin Luther King was a Republican.
Yeah, there was kind of two things that happened at once with that. You have like this whole LBJ, we're going to lose the South voting wise because black people now can vote. So the numbers are bad. And if they all vote Republican, we're going to have some problems. So that's where you get that famous quote, give them welfare and we'll have insert word voting for us for 100 years. So there's that. And then also you had
that goes into the fact that you're saying Democrats in power, like the movie Gangs in New York, where they let all of the different people come in from different European countries, and then they make them Democrats because they see them as the future. They'll outnumber everybody else that's here. That same theory.
Yeah, and the same thing that you see like now with the open borders
Sure.
policies.
Okay.
And bluntly speaking, I think they went from like to say it as crudely as possible. I don't have any love for white Southern Democrats of the era, so I'll just say it bluntly. I think there's some scumbags. I have a lot of problems I can go into, but I think that the one that's most pertinent here is they thought, well, because all those black people over there know we're the party of the Klan, they're not going to vote for us unless we bribe them. So what we need to do is bribe them. And then also simultaneously, while we bribe them, keep them poor, because the second that they don't need our bribes, we're going to lose them again. So we have to create policies to stomp down and subsidize so that we can keep getting those votes, or we're fucked.
That's a hell of an ingenious and devious plan.
Makes sense.
Shout out to Black T. What about maintenance of infrastructure to prevent fires? You cannot prevent fires. That's just, I know that's just not.
That's not what Smokey the Bear said.
Yeah, that's just not true.
It's mitigating. And like another thing, and I don't know for these ones in particular, but a lot of the fires that are started, California and LA doesn't have a real great homeless policy. And they start a lot of fires. I've seen a lot of those fires happen. I used to remember driving around.
But what's a great homeless party? What does a homeless policy look like? A great one. The only homeless policy that makes sense to me is people go to jail for choosing to be homeless.
Sure.
Ain't that how they've been doing it for years?
Yeah, there's a lot of issues that lead to homelessness or that concentrate homelessness here. Again, the homeless population
in California to be homeless. Is it just the weather? Because you can go to Arizona. It's a lot of other places you can stop at.
Arizona's hard. Arizona's be harsh. I think that's part of it. There's also a lot of social policies. There's a lot of, California has you're allowed to camp at night. That just kind of got overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court, allowing cities to ban that. So you had a court case that said you can't stop somebody from pitching up camp on public lands, which was finally overturned, but there was a period of that. It's accelerated in California. The homeless population has exploded in the last 20 years. It's not it's not like a straight growth line. It would hit a point and then shot up, and that was policy oriented.
You know what? Shout out to Mumu, who makes this point. Those Southern Democrats who were Klan members are Southern Republicans who are Klan members now. I disagree.
Except none of the politicians changed parties. Politician changed party.
I agree and I disagree. I think the Southern Democrats who are Klan members are still Southern Democrats who are Klan members, and Southern Republicans who are Klan members. Yeah.
And some of that was also generational. I think that in scale, I don't think it's crazy to look at the white South now being less racist than it was 80 years ago. I think that they're, as far as being able to enact just self-serving policies for purposes of we're just going to exploit racism because we can corner a market or block people out of access to a market or whatever else. Democrats are always anti-market. That's the one thing that's always a constant. And how it manifests in their ability to be anti-market is the variable largely regionally. But I think once you lost your incentive to vote those guys in to give you a benefit for being white, they were just like, well, the rest of your policy sucks. So since I'm not getting a benefit for my whiteness, then fuck you, because now all the other shit that I have to put up with you people sucks. So fuck off. I think that happened in a lot of cases too.
Shout out to LK from the Bay. Affordable housing is needed and increased wages. That's anti-Republican, though.
No, it isn't. It really isn't, because allowing the markets to build more, increase supply, lower price is not anti-Republican. It's pro-Republican. California's the hardest state to develop real estate in the country. There is just layers upon layers of municipal, state, various environmental legislation. Even another example, one of the big issues in Orange County with regard to that water desalination plant in Huntington Beach was the fact that you can't prove water access, so you can't build new houses. So that was going to be able to allow water access to developers to be able to say, okay, we have X amount of gallons a year we need for this plot to be developed. Now that there's an insertion of new water, we can build it. But without it, now you can't build. So that's another example of where that's not necessarily always true.
Shout out to Pele. I don't quite know the name. You got to get the enunciation at the lunch table. Again, right now, No Ceilings Live lunch hour every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, noon Pacific Standard Time, right here on Digital Soapbox. Click that thumbs up button. We letting Pete teach class because this is Pete. I am an outlaw. I could tell you everything outside of the law or things that have something to do with street urban culture at its highest level. But when it comes to mainstream American ideas, Pete is my man. And this is why he is going to school. California has more policies in place to help homeless people than any other state. That, along with the weather, makes it the best spot possible. It's growing largely because of housing prices.
I think that's a part of it. I think also California is one of those states.
Very minute part of it.
Sure. I don't
think most people listen. I'll be honest now, just based off of my opinion and what I've experienced being in California. Again, without having the data, just Glasses Malone experience data, and I really be out there, so I know I fucked around. Most people that's living in tents are not people because they can't afford a house. Like the people I've met, it's not like people that got kicked out their house and now they just went and moved to the streets. Most people would leave and go somewhere else. It's not like this is the standard move. They kick me out of my house. Yeah. Let me go live in a tent. That is a really not normal stretch.
That's a very aggressive step.
Yeah, that's not normally how I go. People will squat in the house. There's a lot of things. So I think there's a disingenuous.
You hold up in go on.
No, there's either a disingenuous or an ignorant thought that people like, I'm getting kicked out of my house, I'm finna go live on the street. That's not the normal transition for most human beings. I know that for sure. And the people I talk to and I know that's not what's happening. Why people are homeless and the homeless, if we were like running the state of California, I think we would be fighting a really tough battle because people like
even I think there's a lot to do with mental illness though too.
I think that's a huge part of it.
That's a big part of it. I think also like because there's a lot of homeless in the three Pacific coastal states, you know, relative to the population. Certainly Seattle I know has a lot. But like they've like decriminalized largely a lot of really, really minor individual use drug possession type offenses.
There you go.
So if you use drugs a lot and you live in another state like Texas that might hammer you for it, if all you want to do is use drugs, you can come to California and not get in trouble so much, and that can lead to some expansion in that population also.
That's probably closer to truth, which all goes to mental health.
Yeah.
So that's why I agree with both of y'all. Shout out to Moo Moo. Man, I'm from Mississippi and live in Texas. I've met several actual Klan members, and none of them are Democrats. Democrats are racist too, but I don't think the Klan member will vote for Kamala. I definitely think they met racism differently. I mean, because for sure, if you're from the South and you out there, you probably met some Klan members. Shout out to LK from the Bay. People leaving because of costs. I agree, but that's what I'm saying. People are not going. Now, there are a family or two that are going to the streets because of cost, but that's not, I don't think that's 90% of the people on the street because of cost. And again, like, this is one of those things why I don't really get into politics because the gray area is crazy. Like, there are certain things that don't make sense to me about politics. Like, one thing I respect, and I'm going to relate it to where I know best, where I'm actually educated and totally informed that at the highest level, and that's street urban life, right? There was a program going on the 7, like when I grew up a gangbanger, right? Where if you was going to make money in this motherfucking hood, you had to buy drugs from the actual people in the community, right? So if you wanted to start your own business, you want to start selling Sherm, you got to buy your ounces, your 8s, your 16s from one of the older homies, right? We kept all the dollars in the community, right? That's how it worked. You couldn't buy product from people on the outside. You had to buy product from people on the inside. Go ahead.
You like in this case, is there a base to that product that has to come from a black market, or can you buy everything you need for that essentially legally and then just make it into the thing?
Well, so with PCP specifically, it's different than like crack or cocaine because it's all regular products made by labs.
That's what I was asking. That's what
so no, there's no other. They can be street people in the middle because the average person wouldn't know how to get the right permits and license to get the chemicals you need. But yeah, there's usually not like a Spanish man or someone with a Spanish name in between. But I respected that about where I was from as a gang member, right? It's like you couldn't bring anybody else's PCP right here. You couldn't bring anybody else's crack right here. They kept the actual economics right there. So the money flowed through hands here, right? And I think that's where America has always messed up. They've always had this concept of like, I'm going to buy whatever is cheap, or I'm going to personally spend my money, right, with whoever has the cheapest product. And what happens is you start to, nobody else touches any money. Does that make sense?
And that happens.
I think that's where America goes wrong at. America goes wrong because they're trying to buy things from other people in other countries based off a concept of not wanting to, like the weirdest thing to me, like this is something simple in politics. You outlaw slavery, but then you buy things made by slave labor or as slave wages.
Yeah.
That to me is like, and I don't like that sometimes about human beings. I want to look right. They don't want to be right. They want to look like righteous people. They don't want to be righteous people. They want to look like righteous people. And I think that's
true with a lot of our oil policy. We don't want to be seen drilling our own oil, but we'll sure as hell buy it from over there.
Which is weird because it's like if they're drilling oil over there, we're on the same planet.
Yes.
Like whatever happens to the arm happens to the leg. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's why like the other aspect to this principle is not only the buying from somewhere else, but that's happening with the same time as trying to use the political manipulation to create a barrier of access from somebody else be able to participate in the competition. So you don't want them to compete, and now they can't compete. So what's to stop you from just buying cheaper stuff and expanding your margin because you're in a vacuum of competition anyway, because you manipulated the whole marketplace?
Oh, I totally get that. That's right up my alley. Shout out to Squishy. Trap think we meet them while they're wearing their sheets. Like they walked up, what's going on, nigger girl? N-word girl, hey, rapper, forgive me. Hey, what's going on, rapper girl? With their sheets on and shit.
But if you can walk away from the conversation knowing that's what they was, then how did you know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. You met a cleanse.
Yeah, I thought the whole point of wearing the sheets was for anonymity
to hide
purposes.
their identity.
Yeah, but some people ain't hiding.
Smack that shit right up in the motherfucking head.
Some people not hiding. Shout out to Truck D's. Much love, brother. Welcome to the lunch table. My N-word glasses, I usually listen to the pod, but I finally got to catch it live. And this is what we do it for y'all on these lunch breaks, man. And I'm glad you got a chance to catch it. Pete is teaching class right now. Shout out to Squishy.
Why did you just say my N-word for? Oh, I know why. All right, my bad. I know why.
I saw that subtle point.
Clerks, etc. Everyday people.
He sent me a clip earlier. That's why he sent me a clip earlier. That's why I was thinking about that just now.
Shout out to Moo. Homelessness is a niche lifestyle. Single mothers don't want to be homeless, so you find them in shelters. A lot of people on the street want to be homeless. I agree with that, Moo. That's true. What I got from my experience. They're not out there because they don't want to be. They out there because they want to be.
Yo, listen, I'm from New York. When I be in Cali, I've never seen so many homeless people, yo. For real. I ain't gonna lie to you. That shit is different. In New York, we got some too. I've seen a lot in Florida though, also too.
Shout out to Pele. It's really hard to understand because the gray areas in this is huge. A lot of China and India products that we could not afford if Americans made them. We have too many policies protecting the workers. I disagree. it's not the policies protecting the workers, and that's how Pete feels. What I really genuinely believe is you have more money to pay for things if you have money. Like if you create a vacuum system here, everybody has money. But if you are fighting, right? If you're fighting per se, like if you're fighting, the whole point of a lot of these ideas was to end slavery in this country. But then you're buying products made at slave labor, and slave wages. Again, you have to make it make sense. Like you can't be a good person on this continent and be a piece of shit on that continent. Oh, well, you know what? Well, I ain't made it, but I'm gonna buy it from them. That is not righteous. And that's my point. It just either you're gonna be righteous and say, you know what? I'm gonna go without some things, or I'm gonna pay what they cost, and I'm gonna have people right here make them. Versus,
and that was
yes. Go ahead.
So that was kind of like the irony in Nike's situation for a period of time, because Nike paid Kaepernick a bunch of money for his campaign and that line and stuff like that, while they were producing their shit off slave labor. It's like you can just tell it's just a
your
PR
shoes are made
deflection.
I'm not launching the tirade against Nike. That is not my goal. I'm just saying.
No, I'm just pointing it out as an example.
No, but I'm saying, look, Nike, like I'm not, and because it's not like I'm trying to get a sponsor. Like I don't want Nike. I'm not tripping. I'm just saying this genuinely giving you my genuine. I'm not launching a tirade. I'm just saying it looks weird that you're trying to maintain. And that's what I'm saying when people cater to other people's ignorance. Like I don't use other, like when I made Tupac Must Die, that's genuine top to bottom. I don't care if I was talking to the Outlaws, I told them what it was. I could talk to Pac's mom and explain how I made the song. And I would stand behind it if Afeni was alive and I had to explain it to her. The only thing I would feel bad is that she had to relive the event. That's it. I would not take one word back. I meant what I said to the T, because my righteousness and my honorableness is consistently all the way top to bottom. But it's weird when you have a company like Nike trying to look like they're in the right, but then you have this type of labor making your shoes. And then under the guise of being affordable, the only reason they're affordable because everybody broke. And now they still ain't affordable. Poor people can't get no goddamn Jordans.
Remember when Jordan was $125?
They was always too high. When they was making them for 75 cents.
So we was bitching about $125. Like, yo, what the fuck is these shits? $125?
Shout out to Truck D's. Thank you for the $10, my boy. Shout out to Glasses and Pete, man. I messed with the podcast heavy, bro. Finally got to check out Alive. Keep it going. Y'all got the best podcast on Mamas.
Awesome, man. Stay safe on the roads out there.
Double up, Truck D's. We really do the podcast. I tell Pete we need to do more entertainment because that's the base of people I really want to appeal to, is people that's driving for a living, sitting in their trucks and their cars, because they have more time to listen and focus. Pray for everyone in the city dealing with fires, man. Same here, man. We're going to donate that $10 to whatever movement that is for you saying that, bro, on some player shit.
100%.
I've been talking to Pete about making more content for people driving trucks, more different things from No Ceilings. No Ceilings presents. We got to really get into it this year.
All that shit, No Ceilings on the road.
Yeah, like, man. But really just more films. I've been talking to Pete. I want to do films. I want to do a comedy special that's just the audio.
Not if they drive.
Like how I didn't tell Pete this, but
like
I want
an audio movie
special on him, like how Dolomite did, where you just record and you put it on a record and then put it through the No Ceilings live stream. I mean, I think we could do way more dope stuff for people to enjoy. Shout out to Squishy. This is my point. Pete needs to get back on his comedy. Yes, he does.
This is my comedy. You just don't get that. I'm just not good at it.
Just not laughing.
Yo,
we laughing.
Yo, listen, man.
We laughing.
You were born full of knowledge, B. For real, B.
He knows stuff.
Yeah, he do.
But this is the product of too much time on one's hands.
In the America, listen, again, I don't have enough information, but if I was the president, like, I don't think we need anything from anybody else.
Well, that's what Trump is pushing though right now. I think Trump is trying to push that though, as far as like getting all our stuff from in-house instead of going out. And then the ones that come from our house, they're gonna tax them even more though to get it in here though.
Yeah, because like at certain places, that's what I appreciate about my older homies, how they ran the 7th Street, PCP, and drug economy. You know what I mean? Like, it's the first time. So it's like, I believe in this specific economy. Like, I watch other neighborhoods struggle. Their homies not have nothing. Like, it almost felt like how America feels now, where people don't have nothing. Like, one person got a bunch of money, these dudes ain't got no money, and everybody tripping. But then when you came on 117th Street in Watts, like, we all had money. Yeah, Plug had $1 million. Tic Tac had $1 million. Maine had $1 million. Moon had a bunch of money. Yeah, it was millionaires, but guess what? The lowest man on the totem pole, Pete, he can feed himself. He had a car. Sure. He could put on clothes. He could pay his rent. That's the lowest man on the totem pole. The America we in now reminds me of other gangs where it was just one person rich and nobody else had nothing. That's the America we in now. This America where you could barely pay your bill is crazy. Like, that wasn't the life for us. When I was even at the lowest totem pole on 117th Street selling PCP, I had enough money to buy a lowrider. I could pay my own rent. I had a couple cars. I had guns. I had everything that the local street guy needed to be okay. That's the economy I believe in. But then I would go to, like I said, I would go to other people's neighborhoods, and this dude got a bunch of money, but none of his homeboys got no money. How you gang banging and you can't afford a gun? How you gang banging and you don't got a car to go put in no work? But it's a dude from your hood rich. Like, we didn't have to have a car wash to bury no homie. We would just chip in and bury the homie.
Sure. And I think a lot of that, now in the bigger senses, there's like access to cash and credit has gotten really weird lately. It's really hard to get the appropriate access, and also with a bunch of regulations, it's hard to cultivate what you need resource-wise to start a business and be successful. But you can borrow an obscene amount of money with next to nothing down to buy a house that doesn't make you any money. It just costs you money. So like, you shouldn't be getting a house at 3% down so that you can pay interest on 97% of the value. It drives with the value when you only got to show up with a little bit of percentage. And B, it's just impossible to maintain. And then you can't get credit to go, open a car wash or open a whatever the fuck, just a way to be able to actually have cash. Like, they've made that hard and the other thing really easy. It's a very, very favorable deal for the financial sector.
Shout out to Pele. Once again, you got to tell us how to pronounce your name so we pronounce it right. Welcome to the lunch table. First time I popped in too. I always see it pop up on Twitter at work. Legit cool to see people talking about possible solutions instead of pushing hate. Yeah, we don't got that kind of stream, bro. Shout out to everybody with that stream and giving y'all that energy, that reality show energy. I'm not mad at it. But this right here is really us solving and going through our thoughts out loud with solutions. A bunch of people. You know what I'm saying? It's just what we do. It's not anti anything. We offering exactly what we really do in real life as entertainment. That's the America I would like to see. That's the America I would like to see. The America I would like to see looks like 7th Street. Looks like 117th Street. If I was a politician, that's what I would run on. I would run on self-reliant economies. Self-reliant economies, because I knew the brokest person on the 7 could pay their rent and could feed themselves every day. They didn't have to ask nobody for nothing. This America is ran like somebody else's hood, and it's a bunch of rich people, a bunch of poor people.
I don't know if y'all got I don't know if it's, but because the Jewish community in New York though, that's how they run their whole community, baby.
On the set.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like the money don't leave the hood. It stayed right there in the neighborhood. They got the toys from the toy store, the grocery stores, to everything. They money circulating within the shit. They even got hospitals and shit like that. That shit is looking at that shit like out there in Brooklyn. They got communities like that though.
That's and to me, that's what I believe in, and that's what I saw work. Right now, this version of I've saw this in other hoods. I saw this in the Nutty Blocks. I saw this in different other communities where there is like a rich person here, a rich person there, a rich person there, but it's a bunch of people who don't have enough. That wasn't life on the 7. Shout out to Zay. That's what we're gonna call you, Brody. Zay. Much love. Zay Pelly.
But yeah, that's
Shout out
that's
to
dope
the
though,
MK.
man.
She said, and they be
Wow.
closed on Saturday though.
They definitely no Friday. Friday they be closed. They be closed on Friday and Saturday, rolling
Yeah.
over to Saturday.
Yeah,
Shout
it's
out
They
to
like a
close at
weird
night
Time.
24-hour
till the
clock.
sunlight
Rest
go
in
down. Till
peace
the
to
sunlight go
King
down on
Baba Louie. I
Saturday.
saw that too, man. That was sad. Bobby
Who's
Louie,
that?
Baba Louie was one of the original Pirus. You know what I'm saying? That
Oh,
started
gotcha.
that whole movement. Rest in peace. Good dude, entertaining dude. Yeah, I just again, like I didn't come on here prepared to talk about the fires from a political
Yeah, what
standpoint.
was it? What was we supposed to talk about? What's up?
We're supposed to talk about do the
The
streets have a
human
soul?
element.
Because I think that's the confusion that it really changed to does Los Angeles have a soul? Y'all done just ruined the whole thing. Matter of fact, let me change it right now. Does Los Angeles have a soul? But it's like, I don't know what is it with white people and these damn animals. Again, I know it's a stereotype, but I don't have any idea what's up with white people and these damn animals.
You
I
ever seen
don't
them
get
do
it. And
I
I
don't
think, don't get me
know.
wrong, I am not, hold up, I'm sorry. I'm not ignorant that the animals really help the economy. Like, I get it. You can't just go fish and take all the certain fish because they do certain things. I get it. But they just over the top. Like, are you serious? They just wanted to see salmon swim upstream? Not
It's
here,
hard
but
to
I'm saying
say.
that
That's one of those.
I'm sure they help the bears. Like, I'm sure
This is one of those examples where I think it's maybe another, ulterior motive cloaked in that potentially, i.e., we could see where there might be some housing development up there that we don't want, so we're gonna make it so that you can't get enough water and electricity to be able to build the houses, and we're gonna say it's because of salmon.
Why would you not want the housing development up there? Because somebody else want to do it?
Or because then you could get people that might move out of your concentrated urban center and bring down the prices of housing, including yours.
That would be diabolical.
All for salmon. All using salmon.
You start seeing all those people moving to Reno, moving to Auburn, California, moving out into the mountainsides, getting out of the cities. We're going to pass some laws, making it so you can't build any more of those houses out there. Got to rein those people in. Got to prop up those price per square foot numbers.
Oh, man.
I know my people. Don't say I don't.
I know
you know
what you're talking about. You think you think just like them. You know shit. Damn.
We don't just use the salmon for sushi.
That's how we go end it, man. We finna jump on Twitter. You want to do a spaces after this trap?
Let's do it.
Did you get on yet, Pete?
I haven't logged on. I've been running around for the last couple of days since I got in town.
So you should be able to log on Twitter.
I should be able to. Yeah, I got to go back and check that stuff from Squish. Thanks for doing that too, Squish, by the way. Thank you.
Okay, we gonna do Clubhouse later. We gonna do Twitter now. So we about to open up a spaces. Y'all jump on. We're gonna keep this thing going. No Ceilings Live, the lunch hour every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time, right here on Digital Soapbox Network. Click the thumbs up button real quick before you jump out of here. Shout out to my dog Squishy for moderating. Shout out to Joey for moderating. Thank y'all for being here at this lunch table. Before you leave and go over to Twitter and jump on the spaces, make sure you subscribe to the No Ceilings podcast. That's the reason we do this stream. It's a new podcast below, Conversations on the Culturally Entitled. It's fire. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts or iHeart Podcasts or anywhere else you get your podcast. The No Ceilings podcast is executive produced by Charlemagne the God, the Black Effect Network, and iHeart. Much love to y'all. See y'all on Twitter. Make sure y'all subscribe to the No Ceilings podcast. We out.